Listen and focus. The tale of Tim and Moz and the giant, Java, Indonesia. Once upon a time, in a village in central Java, there lived a middle-aged widow named Bakshrini. Since her husband died several years ago, she has lived alone because she has no children. She was a woman who really hoped for the presence of a child to fill her loneliness. However, that hope has been dashed because her husband has died. She was just waiting for a miracle to be able to get a child. She really hoped that a miracle would happen to her. To achieve this hope, day and night, she always prays to God Almighty to be given a child. One night, the hope came through her dream. In her dream, she was visited by a giant creature who told her to go to the forest, where she usually looks for firewood, to take a package under a big tree. When she woke up in the morning, Bakshrini could hardly believe her dream last night. Could it be that a miracle will really happen to me? She asked in her heart with doubt. However, the middle-aged woman tried to shake off the doubts in her heart. With hope, she rushed to the place pointed by the giant, living in the forest. She immediately looked for the package under a big tree. How shocked she was when she found a package that she thought contained a baby, but it turned out to be just a cucumber seed. Her heart was again wondering, what does the giant mean to give me a cucumber seed? Muttered the widow in bewilderment, in the midst of her confusion. Without realizing it, suddenly a giant creature stood behind her, laughing out loud. Ha ha ha. Such was the sound of the giant's laughter. Bakshrini gasped in surprise as she turned her body round. How surprised she was because it was the giant who was present in her dream. She also became afraid. My goodness, Mr. Giant, don't eat me. I still want to live, pleaded Bakshrini with a pale face. Don't be afraid, you old woman. I won't eat you. Don't you want a child? Asked the giant. Raw. Right, Mr. Giant, answered Bakshrini nervously. Then, immediately plant the cucumber seeds. Soon you will have a daughter. But remember, you must hand over the child to me when she grows up. I will make that child my meal, said the giant, because she wanted so much to have children. Bakshrini subconsciously replied, Okay, giant. I am willing to hand over the child to you. As soon as Bakshrini finished expressing her willingness, the giant disappeared. The woman immediately planted the cucumber seeds in her field. With great hope, every day she took good care of the plant. 2 months later, the plants began to bear fruit. But strangely, the cucumber plant only bears one fruit. More and more cucumbers are getting bigger than cucumbers in general. The color is very different, which is golden yellow. When the cucumbers were ripe, Bakshrini picked them and brought them back to her hut with great difficulty. because they were heavy. How surprised she was after splitting the cucumber. She found a very beautiful baby girl. When going to hold her, the baby suddenly cried. How happy Bakshrini's heart was to hear the sound of the baby's cry, which she had long missed. She also gave the baby's name Timin Maz. The middle-aged woman was no longer able to hide her happiness. Unknowingly, tears rolled down her already wrinkled cheeks. That feeling of happiness made her forget her promise that she would give the baby to the giant one day. She cared for and educated Timin Maz with great affection so that she grew into a beautiful girl. The old dowager was very proud because apart from being beautiful, her daughter also had extraordinary intelligence and good temperament. Therefore, she is very fond of her. One night, Bakshrini had another dream of being visited by the giant and told her that in a week he would come to pick up Timin Maz. Since then, she always sat pensively alone. Her heart is sad because she will part with the child she loves so much. She just realized that the giant turned out to be evil because Timin Maz would be his meal. Seeing her mother often sitting pensively, Timin Maz wondered to herself. One afternoon, Timin Maz worked up the courage to ask her mother's anxiety. Mom, why do you always look sad lately? Asked Timin Maz. Actually, Bakshrini did not want to tell the cause of her anxiety because she did not want her only child to be sad too. However, because she was constantly pressed, she finally told her about the origins of Timin Maz, which she had kept secret all this time. Forgive mother, my sweet. All this time, mother kept something a secret from you, said Bakshrini with a sad face. What secret, mother? Asked Timin Maz curiously. No, Timin Maz. Actually, you are not my biological child, who was born from my womb. Before her mother had finished speaking, Timin Maz suddenly interrupted her. What do you mean, mother? Asked Timin Maz. Bakshrini also told all these secrets until she had a dream last night that a giant would come to pick up her child to be made into a meal. Hearing the story, Timin Maz gasped in shock as if she couldn't believe it. I don't want to go with the giant. I really love mother, who has educated and raised me, said Timin Maz. Hearing Timin Maz's words, Bakshrini became pensive again. She was confused to find a way for her child to survive the giant's meal until the day promised by the giant. Bakshrini had not found a way out. Her heart began to worry. In her anxiety, she suddenly found a sense. She ordered Timin Maz to pretend to be sick. That way, of course, the giant would not want to eat. When the sun was getting dusk, the giant came to Bakshrini's hut. Hey, old woman, where's the child? I will take her now, begged the giant. Sorry, Mr. Giant, The child is very sick. If you eat her now, of course, the meat won't taste good. How about in 3 days you come here? I will cure the disease first. Persuaded Bhakshrini to buy time until she found a way so that Timin Maz could be saved. In that case, okay. But you must promise to hand over the child to me, said the giant. After Bhakshrini promised, the giant disappeared. Bhakshrini was again confused about finding another way. After thinking hard, she finally found a way that she thought could save her child from the giant's meal. She will ask for help from a hermit who lives on a mountain. My sweetie, early tomorrow morning mother will go to the mountain to meet a hermit. He was a friend of my mother's late husband. Maybe he can help us to stop the giant's evil intentions, said Bhakshrini. Right, Mom. We must destroy the giant. I don't want to be his food, added Timin Maz. The next day, early in the morning, Bhakshrini went to the mountain. Arriving there, she immediately met the hermit and conveyed the purpose of her arrival. Sorry, Mr. Hermit. The purpose of my coming here is to ask for help from you, said Bhakshrini. What can I do for you, Bhakshrini? Asked the hermit. Bhakshrini also shared the problems her child was facing. Hearing Bhakshrini's story, the hermit was also willing to help. Okay, you wait here for a while, cried the hermit as he walked into his secret room. Not long after, the hermit returned, carrying 4 small packages, and handed them over to Bhakshrini. Give this package to your child. Each of these 4 packages contains cucumber seeds, needles, salt and shrimp paste. If the giant is after her, order her to spread the contents of this package, the hermit explained. After receiving this explanation, Bhakshrini returned home with the 4 packages. Arriving at her hut, Bhakshrini handed over the 4 packages unexplained, their purpose to Timin Maz. Now, Bhakshrini's heart began to calm down a bit because her child already had a weapon to fight the giant. 2 days later, the giant came to collect his promise to Bhakshrini. He couldn't wait to bring and eat Timin Maz meat. Hey, old woman. This time you have to keep your promise. If not, I will make you my meal too, the giant threatened. Bhakshrini was no longer afraid of this threat. Calmly, she called Timin Maz to come out of the hut. Not long after, Timin Maz came out and stood beside her mother. Don't be afraid, my child. If the giant is going to catch you, run immediately and follow the instructions I have given you, Bhakshrini whispered Timin Maz. Seeing that Timin Maz was really grown up, the monster couldn't wait to eat her. When he was about to catch her, Timin Maz immediately ran as fast as she could. The giant was chasing her. Needless to say, there was a royal chase between the giant creature and Timin Maz. After running far away, Tim and Maz started to get tired, while the giant was getting closer. Finally, she took out the hermit's gift package. First, Tim and Maz spread the cucumber seeds that her mother had given her. It's a miracle, the forest around her suddenly turned into a cucumber field. In an instant, the cucumber stalk spread and wrapped around the giant's entire body. However, the giant was able to escape and chase Tim and Maz again. Tim and Emus immediately threw the package containing the needles. In an instant, the needles turned into a grove of tall, spiky bamboo trees. However, the giant was able to pass it and continued to chase Tim and Maz, even though his leg was bleeding from being pierced by the bamboo. Seeing that her efforts had not been successful, Tim and Maz opened the third package containing salt and spread it. Instantly, the forest she had passed suddenly turned into a wide and deep sea, but the giant still managed to get through it easily. Tim and Emus began to worry because she only had one weapon left. If the weapon does not succeed in paralyzing the giant, then history is over. With full confidence, she threw the last package containing shrimp paste. Instantly, the place where the shrimp paste fell suddenly turned into a sea of boiling mud. As a result, the giant fell into it and died instantly. So saved Tim and Emus from the giant's pursuit and meal. With all her might, Tim and Emus walked towards her hut to meet her mother. Seeing that her child was safe, Bhakshrini immediately thanked God Almighty. Since then, Bhakshrini and Tim and Maz lived happily